So, welcome to my commentated clear of Dodonpachi Daioujou White Label, specifically the first loop. I was kinda going back and forth whether to do White Label or Black Label, but since M2 made White Label the main focus of their port, I decided to take up the challenge and try to get a personal best high score in White Label. Also, I feel like I want to go deeper into scoring with Black Label, like learn new tricks, fix up my routes, and try to get a cool clear. So I think I'll do a Black Label commentary later. But even if you're just playing Black Label, maybe you're starting out with the game, I feel like there's lots of useful stuff in this clear too, since the survival routes are basically the same, and lots of the chaining is the same I do in Black Label. So yeah, let's get into the run. So here we go, and right from the start I'm going to make two small mistakes. I begin my chain here, but then I fail to laser the power-up carrier enough and it doesn't die, and I have to make some weird movements here, like this. And then soon I will fail to uncover the second B, so I need to laser it twice, I think, here. Yeah, and somehow these mistakes don't cost me the chain, because chaining in White Label feels a lot harder than the Black Label. Like, I believe the chain meter is just a tiny bit stricter. It makes a huge difference, and that's actually why I'm playing Type-A Exy here. Like, I've mainly played Type B in Daioujou, but since chaining seems so strict in White Label, I went with Type A because it's faster and I can be where I want to be and do more precise movements. So yeah, nothing super fancy here, just trying to full chain the stage. It's actually super fun, and I recommend learning chaining in this stage. I'm going to use just one hyper here because I want to have a hyper at the beginning of stage 2. The hardest part for me here is getting the last two big ships and the last B. I don't know, there's something about this timing that is really hard for me, or maybe I haven't done it enough, but I managed to do it here. And then I try to point blank the first boss to make the fight go faster and just for some style points, but you don't really need to do it that much. Misdirect this pattern and then try to get on top of the boss. There's a sweet spot that you can hit that drains the health really fast, and then yeah, the bullets turn into stars, and that's stage 1 done. I've only recently learned how to full chain stage 2. Like, I had almost all of the chains in place, but I needed to just link them together, and there are a couple of difficult links here for me. The first one is here, and that's why I hyper. I hyper to fill my chain meter and get into a better position. And actually these two big tanks, you can point blank them to speed kill them. If you're going for pure survival, just get on top of them immediately and point blank. The first tank will die even before like shooting any bullets. This is a section where I often drop my chain for some reason. And this is a kind of a tight squeeze, the mid-boss here. Or not the mid-boss, but this factory thing. And now we're approaching the big link, the chain link in this stage. For the longest time I didn't do this. It seemed really difficult for me, but once you learn it, it's not too bad. Just hyper when you're hitting the power-up carrier, and somehow the chain magically carries on to the mid-boss. And by the end of the mid-boss, you want to be on the right side and hit this right building. The building on the right there. It's the easiest way to maintain the chain, in my opinion. And now we're at the famous hyper section. This is where you can get a very easy, long, big chain. Just save up some hypers. Like if you can manage to get like 3 hypers or something, then just hyper here and you'll get a very big chain. Actually, I wanted to full chain the stage just to learn it and to see how it's done and stuff, but it's not actually that advantageous scoring wise if you do it my way. It's just pretty hard, and yeah, if you have like 3 hypers at this point, you can get almost the same score as I do, I feel. And here I do kind of a survival strat for the boss. So if you have a hyper and a bomb, hyper when you're in a tight position, then just bomb out of the hyper, and there you've done a decent amount of damage to the boss, and you can proceed to the next phase very quickly. Just remember to point blank the boss while hypering or bombing. Now the end of this boss is much harder in white level because you get no slowdown on these blue bullets, so I recommend bombing if you're feeling threatened. And I actually often bomb here, and I also often die here, but this time I managed to make it through. If you want to chain this section, wait for the 4th explosion, and when the 4th explosion hits, just switch to rapid shots, and you'll be able to hit the popcorn enemies. The first half of this stage is really fun to chain, and pretty consistent too once you learn it. And hypering makes it a lot easier too, because there's some tight chain links like this one here. You can again wait for the 4th explosion and then switch to rapid shot, but it's much easier with a hyper. And then you want to have a hyper or a bomb at this section, because you can avoid doing this really messy dodging right here. I just hyper to cancel the bullets, then speed kill this enemy, and then point blank this mid-boss for a while, then pull down. Be sure to hit the center of the mid-boss and you can kill it very quickly. Or if you don't have a hyper, you can just point blank bomb the boss and just skip the whole boss. Now from this point on, I'm not really going to chain much. I'm going to do only small chains because I haven't really learned the scoring route or the chaining route for this second half of stage 3. I've done some practice on it, but I really need to do serious practice, because if I try go for the chains when I haven't practiced enough, I usually just end up dying. So I am very satisfied with my stage 1, stage 2 chains and chaining the first half of stage 3, so I just played very safe here and just killed all the popcorn enemies very quickly and stuff. So yeah, playing it as safe as possible here. And here I'm going to do kind of a bad dodge through this pattern, like right here. It's not how I usually do it, but something happened there. And here you want to kind of tap dodge from side to side so you can hit those enemies on the right. It's actually harder with Type A. With Type B, it's quite a bit easier because you have a wider shot. So stage 3 boss, this is kind of a tough one when you're starting out, but it becomes quite consistent once you've just played the game enough. But I'm still scared of this pattern, especially these last bullets. I'm not sure why, but the last bullets often get me. And with this pattern, you kind of want to start on one side, then move slowly to the other side. Then this is the kind of hardest spot to get through. And then just hold center here, because if you're too much to the sides, those patterns can kind of wall you. I hate that you have to dodge this pattern twice during the boss fight. But yeah, the second half is very difficult, but if you have a hyper and a bomb or a bomb, I recommend just hypering and then maybe even bombing, but I go for no bomb here for some style points, but usually I just bomb because it's very easy to die to that pattern. I used to be really scared of the section right after these doors, the one that begins here, but now I really love it. It's actually not that difficult. You can kind of play as a Space Invaders turret, just keep your laser on and move from side to side. Like this whole stage is about moving side to side. And actually I have a hyper here, and it's kind of a mistake that I don't hyper because I feel like it's easier, and also I could have gotten a nice chain here, like 500 hits or something. I'm not sure why I didn't hyper. I should have hyper here. That's a mistake. Yeah, but just try doing the side-to-side movement if you're feeling overwhelmed at this section. And now we are approaching the train cart section, and again, I don't know how to score this. Like, I have some ideas. I've watched other people chain this, obviously, but again, I need to do some serious practice to be able to chain this. Otherwise, if I try, I'm going to die. So I'm going for very safe strats here. And the safest way to survive here is to be as aggressive as possible. Just try to kill every enemy as soon as they appear. And here I think I'm going to do a weird dodge. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have gone to the right side, so I'm going to do some dangerous dodges here, but it's actually not too bad if you do it the right way, if you just go to the left side and do some tap dodging. Here again, going just side to side. This is a very horizontal, very flat level. It's the pancake stage of Daioujou. Here you can get a very nice, easy chain going. And then the mid-boss, this is my strat for the mid-boss. I destroy the left side, then stand on the center for a while, destroy the other side, and then hyper when I advance to the main gun, because when I'm hypering, I'm safe from the big shells that fly out from the main body, and also I can kill the main gun very quickly. Now, if I was seriously scoring this game, this section would be kind of a pain because these guns are random. But since at this point I'm playing basically for survival, it's kind of a fun challenge for me. I think it's fun that it's different every time. So sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier, and you need to react here. Do some reactive dynamic play. Here I get cornered, I think, and I use a hyper to get out of the situation. It's kind of a shame because it's nice to have a hyper for the next boss, because there's a kind of a cool thing. You can get a kind of a nice long hit chain at the end of the boss fight if you have a hyper. So this boss is very dangerous. The first pattern isn't too bad once you learn to do it kind of with fast movements, but this pattern is very challenging for me for some reason. The way the patterns kind of mix together just kind of, I don't know, messes with my eyes, and this is again very hard. And I think, yeah, I'm going to bomb here just for safety. I get scared there and I bomb. So here, look for the big gaps between the blue bullets. Just follow the gaps. And if you have a hyper at this moment to cancel out the most difficult pattern, and just point blank the boss with the hyper for a really cool, like you get like a 2000 hit chain or something. And then when the gears close in, just bomb the boss and you just finish the fight very easily, very quickly. I know that very good players, they do some funky stuff with the gears. I think they raise the hyper meter to have some nice hypers at the stage 5. but I don't do that because it's pretty dangerous, very challenging. Here I recommend hypering at the start of the stage because you can get a nice chain here, just moving side to side using the stage 4 tech. But also, even if the patterns get intense, the big enemies die faster, so it's a bit easier. And here I'm going to die. For some reason, these 3 enemies, their patterns have always been challenging to me, and I actually often die here. Maybe I need to do kind of a hyper or a plant bomb there, I'm not sure. Well, maybe not a plant bomb. Maybe I need to just practice this section more. And here, if you leave this enemy alive, you can avoid having a kind of a big popcorn rush. This is a dangerous boss fight for me, and I often die here too. And now we're nearing the beehive section. I used to feel like the beehive section was impossible, but once you learn the route through it, it becomes kind of consistent. But I'm going to hyper right around here, I think. Yeah. And that means I'll have a hyper for the rest of the beehive. And again, this is a section which is, I feel like it's a lot easier if you hyper, even if it feels kind of scary at first, because the enemies just die quickly. And then here I'm going to do this weird movement through this gap that appears. The gap appears consistently, so that's what I do here every time. It's kind of a, it feels weird to do, but it works. It's moderately safe. The nice thing about having these mid-bosses in stage 5 is that if you've played the original Dodonpachi, then you've already learned these bosses because they're from the original DDP. So it's kind of a small victory lap for OG DDP players. And here again, I recommend hypering when you can. That was a very dangerous dodge. I was kind of lucky to get out alive. I always break my chain at this boss or before the boss. I need to learn to do it properly. I think I'll try to do it in Black Label. The second half of stage 5 was very hard for me when I started playing. But again, once you route it out, it becomes actually pretty consistent, and funnily enough, it feels easier to me than the first half of stage 5. Like the first half has lots of places where I either die or I always lose my chain or I don't know how to chain or stuff. Here I'm also going to break my chain, obviously, because I'm better at this in Black Label, where you have more hypers. Here I don't have any hypers, so it's much more difficult to maintain your chain. And here I get my hyper, and I'm going to, because I'm mostly playing for survival here, I'm saving it for a specific point, which is around here. Like, this part is pretty difficult, so I cancel the bullets because you get lots of patterns coming from different directions. And then you can also chain this next section, and also surviving this section becomes more consistent because stuff just dies more quickly. And here at this ending part, we're going to use stage 4 tech and go from side to side. Again, this looks super scary, but it's consistent once you learn it. Stage 5 boss is always challenging to me, and it's even more challenging in White Label for some reason. And here I instantly mess up by going into the wrong direction, and then I bomb, and for some reason I go for the bomb pickup, so I need to bomb again. I really messed up that one. The first pattern isn't too bad, but this pattern is actually pretty difficult. But somehow now I'm out of bombs, and somehow I dodge all of this stuff. So I bombed twice on the easy pattern and then just dodged the difficult pattern. And this one's very hard for me too. I always bomb here and if I don't bomb, I usually die, and that's what ends up happening to me here. I hate this pattern. You can kind of go through it if you stay in the center, but I really haven't learned how to do it properly, so I just bomb. This pattern is pretty consistent again once you learn it because it's static, but I get kind of scared, so I bomb. And I should have hypered here, but I didn't, and then I die again. I actually haven't played this boss with Type-A, with the faster Type-A ship much, so yeah, the combination of having the faster ship and then a bigger hitbox and white label and the boss being difficult results in me dying. But I'm still very satisfied with getting this score. This is the best score that I've had in white label ever. I'm really happy with chaining stage 1 and stage 2. Well, I actually missed the last B in stage 2, but whatever, I need to learn to do it better. And yeah, second loop, this is going to be a comic relief at the end of this run because I don't know how to play second loop, like basically at all. I've tried it a couple of times. I've made it to stage 2, but I don't have any route in place, and you really need a route for this. So I'm just going to play for a while and then just die to a random bullet. Yeah, I'm already bombing before the first mid-boss. And this is actually a funny thing. If you destroy the mid-boss too quickly, the game kind of glitches out and you get this kind of limbo state for a while. And I think this is white label only, or at least I haven't gotten it in black label ever. So yeah, I'm going to die soon, so I'll just say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the run, enjoyed the commentary, and if you're just starting out with the game, don't get discouraged. It's very difficult at first. It's going to be challenging even after doing lots of runs, but just enjoy the game. Just try to learn it gradually, pick up some scoring here and there. Yeah, just enjoy the game. Thanks for watching.